What is your workplace scandal? A divorced couple worked at my company in separate departments. The ex-husband went to the ex-wife's house to pick up their kids one night and got into an argument with the ex-wife's boyfriend, who was a cop. The cop shot him. The ex-husband died. The ex-wife was not exactly contrite about it. For weeks or even months after that, the ex-husband's coworkers were on a warpath against the ex-wife and her supportive coworkers. This is in HQ for a big company and there were regular outbursts if those people saw each other in the lobby, elevators, cafeteria, etc. It was wild. Gotta respect the ex-husband's correctional officer workers though. Ride or die right there. Ride when die. Walking past my colleague's door, middle of the afternoon, and looked in his office door window. Saw him absolutely shagging the shit out of an intern. At the same time another colleague also stopped. Saw the same thing. He called our boss, who came and a small group watched them have to leave the office and go down to our talking about a walk of shame. I used to work for a large insurance company in Colorado Springs. Correctional officer, when I worked there they had nap rooms which were used for other nefarious means. My favorite workplace scandal is when one co-worker stopped cheating on his wife with another co-worker because he found a new workplace hookup. Work hookup one anonymously called the man's wife to rat him out and security to bust in on him and his new hookup. If my workplace had nap rooms, I would actually want to use them to take a nap, and this makes me very sad. We called them nap rooms, but corporate said they were wellness rooms. I never trusted the beds. Our company turned them into maternity rooms over the last 6 months, since we've all been sent home since March. Nap room to maternity. Corporate knew everything. From my first workplace as a college intern, the director of engineering was working on a special project and required the PM's admin to assist every day in his office from noon to 1 PM. One Thursday they forgot to close the door completely, and as it turned out their special project was shagging each other stupid. They were sent home and told not to come back until the following Monday, by which time management would know how to address the incident. Monday rolls around and they do not show up. After calling both of their spouses, it turns out that each came home Thursday, made up an excuse to their families, packed a bag, and left within a few weeks. It turns out that their special project also included embezzling $870,000 in company funds and absconding to the Caribbean. Love it when a plan comes together. Years ago I worked at a company that hired a sales guy who was pretty hardworking and definitely put out a "I'm trying to come back from a dark time in my life" kind of vibe. We all really liked him as a first impression, but we did not get a chance to know him very well. One day he went out to his car at lunch, drank himself to a point of insensibility, then came back into the office like nothing was wrong. When his boss called him on it, he took a swing at him and missed by a mile, spinning himself around and almost falling over. He was immediately fired. I do not even think there was paperwork involved. He was only a few weeks into the job and escorted out of the building by unspoken rule. No one talked about the incident. Enough time has passed now. I do not even remember the guy's name or really any more about it than I have said. Sounds like the guy had some demons. I had a similar issue with someone who did something similar, but having his background, when he got drunk in the parking garage, I didn't report him, but called him a taxi and let him sleep it off. I called him into the office the next day and sat with him. Came to find out he lost his son in a court dispute the morning of him coming in. So he went down the street and got plowed in the garage and walked into work. We ended up getting him therapy and he was finally able to prove to the courts that the younger him wasn't him anymore after 3 years of legal battles just to see his son. That was the only time he got shit canned. So the demons thing definition holds a lot of water in this case. It's too bad he decided to try and punch the boss instead of talking about it. Hopefully the guy found help for whatever was ailing him. Way to go about it, sir. Respect. A lady ducked in the men's urinal and tried to frame a guy who turned down her advances at the Christmas party. She informed a manager that she saw the guy go into the bathroom around the time the duck was laid. However, CCTV showed otherwise. She wasn't fired or faced any serious repercussions. Now, Whoever did this unspeakable act is still at large. The boys' bathroom is closed until further notice. Cause one of you thought it would be a good idea to pull down your pants. Okay. Hover your butt cheeks over the urinal and squeeze out a chocolate hot dog. Okay. Oh, you think that's funny? Huh. Let me assure you, there is nothing funny about going up to a nice, clean, unsuspecting urinal. Okay. Drop in your pants then. Turning around. Squatting over that urinal. Okay. Maybe pull in your butt cheeks apart with your hands. Okay. And then laying out a big fudge dragon for all the world to see. Oh yeah. That's real funny. I'm gonna catch this snoffer bitch if it is the last thing I do. Okay. Eric. Did you just take a crap on my desk? Shat on your desk. Duck. What is up with that? When I was in high school, I got a job in a local chain drugstore. After I was there about a month, I showed up for work and was greeted by corporate security. Apparently, the entire management staff, as well as the bulk of the store's employees, were fired and arrested as part of a mass theft ring. Apparently they were issuing fake merchandise refunds to their credit cards, as well as voiding cash transactions and pocketing the cash. They managed to restaff the store temporarily with employees from other locations. But I went from being the new kid to the senior associate pretty quickly, lol. I ended up being there for 5 years. And it was great, because most of the new part-time employees were kids my age. We had a lot of fun. It is cool that you did not let the power go to your head and you had a good time. I really didn't have much power, lol. You knew everything about the place. For some people that's a lot of power. A few years back I was working for a national non-profit, one of the ones that's trying to cure a disease. We all got called into a mandatory meeting first thing one morning. And that meant folks calling in from all over the country. Probably 2,000 of us total. We were told that our CEO's wife had been murdered and set on fire. It was tragic. Couple hours later, they called a second meeting to tell us it was one of our coworkers that did it. That was a mind duck of a meeting. Turns out the dude was stealing from the charity in a big way. Got caught. And the CEO gave him a chance to turn himself in. Instead, he drove to the CEO's house, killed his wife, set her on fire and sped away, crashing into a tree and killing himself. It was never quite the same at work. CEO left and never set foot in the office or his house again. Holy ducking shit. Woman in the finance department fell for a Nigerian prince scheme disguised as our CEO and corporate lawyers. Transferred 2 million euros to the scammers. Police found nothing. Holding that has the most shares of our company was not amused and almost sacked our CEO, who is a great guy in general. Investments in new tech was denied and everyone lost their bonus for that year. Responsible person for the transfer was not fired but lost procurement responsibility. Many in our company said that she was into the scheme. Man, that sucks to be the CEO or anyone. But this is what keeps those Nigerians going. It only takes one to work for it to work. Yeah, but can you imagine how hard it is to use email if you re a real Nigerian prince? Those guys are getting the short end of the boy who cried wolf stick. A guy I worked with was called Prince, do not want to share his full name. Turns out he indeed held the title of prince, but that's because where he comes from, the mayor of a town is called king, and their kids are all princes, princesses. So not in the traditional Western monarchy sense, but it was pretty cool to know that. I used to work at a place where 2 employees who were both married had an affair, then divorced their spouses and married each other. 2 years later the guy has an affair with a client, then he divorces and marries client. Everyone is somehow shocked. He cheats on the client with his first wife, then remarries her. Our company driver never got much done. It would take him days to deliver a package down the road. One day our boss calls us into the boardroom and tells us he had been shot between the eyes while on the beach with a prostitute in the middle of the workday. A couple of hours after he was found, his wife walks into our boardroom where we are all being told about his death with all his life insurance paperwork asking about her payout. He and his wife were devoutly Muslim and his wife gave him a Catholic burial, complete with open casket. I will never forget the bullet hole between his eyes. They did not even shove a little epoxy into the hole. They did. Very poorly, it was still clearly a hole. His casket was put in the entrance to the church and everyone had to turn and squeeze by sideways to get past. So we got quite close to it. I worked at a chain restaurant many moons ago. They moved a couple of GMs around randomly. The one that moved to our store was fired. After about a month for a large amount of theft, he was sent to our store as basically a smoke out to see if he was the cause of theft at his old store. The way he did it was super shitty. Employees got 50% off on food. Anytime someone used that comp, he would yell at them. The reason being, he would buy groceries for his family and comp it all to the restaurant, so he had to keep his comp numbers low. His wife also sold oxy to some of the employees. What's oxy? It is a powerful narcotic that some people use recreationally, but it is only obtained by prescription. Hi, Billy Mays here. It's also a fantastic cleaner you can get for 40 low payments of $99.99, but wait, there's more. If you call now, you will get twice as much, just pay separate shipping and handling. Do not wait. Call now. Dude at my job killed his family and himself. I did not know him personally, but he was one of those guys that you walk past every day and do not think anything more about it. Not that bad, but my dad worked with a guy who went away for 10 years of federal time on organized crime type stuff. He said the guy was quiet but nice. You never got much past a "hey, how are ya?" type conversation. Surprised the hell out of everyone that he was so connected when it came out at trial. I work in a pharmacy setting, and we regularly fire people for stealing medications. Pro tip: if you plan to work a medical gig just to steal meds, you will most likely get caught. If there is anything they strictly keep account of, it is the controlled medication. Legit. I learned this when my partner trained to be a farm tech, that the pills get counted a lot, and pretty much every discrepancy is examined and logged. I once received a 3-month supply on my meds when I only paid and was allowed a 1-month supply. I called the pharmacy ASAP to tell them the mistake in my favor in fear somebody was going to be written up on accusations of malicious miscounting or theft. I know they probably still got in trouble, but for an honest mistake, that can be forgiven in due time. When I was in high school, I worked at a Subway, the restaurant, that had a grocery store attached to it. My manager there used to manage at the grocery store, but they transferred her after she was caught on camera doing the deed with a 17-year-old cashier. The police couldn't do anything because he was so close to 18 and he consented. When the manager's husband found out, he came into the store with a gun and threatened the kid's life. The husband spent a couple days in jail because turns out the gun wasn't loaded. The kid ended up killing himself because he got so much hate for all of it. Instead of firing her, they just transferred her next door to manage Subway. Why do people always go after the other party when someone cheats? Of course some 17-year-old kid is going to stick his dick in whomever will allow it. The guy should be more pissed at his wife. But maybe leave the gun out of it. They are actually still married and had a baby a few months ago. It's a messed up situation, and named the child after the deceased lover. The CEO sent out an email along the lines of, while it is acceptable to take business contacts out for meals or other events at company expense, please ensure that this is done at acceptable places of business. Turned out that some sales guy took a bunch of clients out to a titty bar and tried to expense it. There is a brothel called the Daily Planet in the Melbourne suburb of Elsternwick. An old colleague told me their credit card payments were marked as the Elsternwick Bistro, and folks were claiming it as a business expense. Currently, if there is one, I do not know about it, but at my previous employer I was the scandal. I started seeing my boss in a fast food restaurant. I was a team member, and she was the store manager, so there's a good 2-3 levels of management between us. We flirted a lot at work, and then started sleeping together. And all of a sudden I was able to get away with a lot more. I ended up caring about her a lot and left the store just so I could date her uninhibited. Did not want her to lose her job. That's not scandalous. That's the professional adult way to deal with that situation. There was a good 6-ish months when it was scandalous. A rumor that happened to be true. The minute I got caught, I bailed and signed documentation saying we never saw each other until after I left. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe for more videos.